Senate lawmakers are gearing up for a showdown over what President Trump calls priority number one, the Save America Act, a piece of legislation that in part would overhaul federal voting requirements.
So Donald Trump says his Save America Act is going to guarantee that Republicans win elections for the next 50 years.
They know if we get this, they probably won't win an election for 50 years and maybe longer.
In fact, it's the opposite. This bill is going to wind up actually hurting conservative voters, and I want to talk about it.
Van Jones on Substack.
The Save America Act is going to have a devastating impact on the ability of rural voters to vote. Why? This is not just normal voter ID. You can show up with your driver's license or your real ID. You have to have passport level ID to vote. And a lot of rural voters don't have passports. You may notice on any map after an election, the red parts of the map are always rural. It's the rural parts of a state that always vote for Republicans. They also may not have birth certificates. Why? A lot of them, if they're old enough, they were born at home or they were born at hospitals that don't exist and the records may not be there. So a bunch of rural voters are going to go to the voting booth to vote for Republicans and be turned away because they don't have a birth certificate or a passport. That is going to devastate the Republican voting machine. And you know what states have the lowest passport rates in the country? It's West Virginia, it's Arkansas, it's Mississippi. These are not blue states. These are red states that are going to be devastated by this bill. Number two, a lot of women are voting conservative these days, but they're going to have trouble too. Why? Because in order to get the opportunity to vote in America, if Save America passes, you have to have two things. You got to have a driver's license or present ID, and you've got to have your birth certificate. Well, guess what? If those two don't match, you can't vote, which means if you're a woman who was born with one last name on your birth certificate, but then you got married and changed it, and your driver's license doesn't match, you can't vote. So a lot of women who want to vote for Trump, who want to vote for Republicans, who want to vote for conservatives, are going to show up to vote and be turned away because of Donald Trump's Save America Act. Not good. And it gets worse. The next group that tends to vote for Republicans, that tends to vote conservative, are elderly Americans. Elderly people who might need to update their ID, they might need to find their birth certificate, they might need to go and get a passport. That's hard to do if you're up in years. You have to find somebody to take you there. You've got to figure out where the stuff is in your attic or in your closet. It becomes another barrier for the elderly to be able to meet all these criteria. And again, your driver's license is not going to be enough. Even your real ID, which it took them 20 years to implement, the best ID you can possibly have, that's not enough either because it doesn't have proof of citizenship baked into it. So the best ID you've got right now, unless you've got a passport, will not allow you to vote. And if you're an older person, that may be hard to get. And there are a lot of Republicans, a lot of conservatives who don't travel abroad and don't have passports. Let's just make this practical, just simple. Think about your favorite older uncle who has voted in every election since Nixon. But he doesn't travel out the United States. He doesn't have a passport. In order for him to vote, he's got to figure out, first of all, where is his birth certificate? Is it in the closet, in the attic, in the garage? Maybe it wasn't even filed properly. He's got to figure that out. Then he's got to figure out how to drive to the county seat. If he's in some parts of rural America, that could be a 2-hour drive, a 1-hour drive. He's got to stand in a long line. He's got to cough up $50 and do all that just to do what he's been doing his entire life. Is this saving America? No, this is like ruining your uncle's life just so he can vote, which is his right as an American. So you have a situation where Republicans are voting for a president who they think is going to make voting harder on their opponents. He's going to make it harder on them. And it gets worse. If ideologically, at a principle level, you don't like the idea of a big federal database sucking up all the information about American citizens and holding on to it, The Save America Act is exactly that. It creates a massive federal database that is inevitably going to be buggy, is going to have errors and flaws, and it will then prevent people from voting. How do I know? I'm not making this up. Several states have already gone this route. They created databases and lawful voters were turned away by a buggy database. We're now going to do that at the federal level for everybody. We already know what happens when you try to do stuff like this. In fact, Kansas did it, and 31,000 lawful, eligible American citizens got blocked from voting. And they only caught 11 undocumented people. Those are terrible mathematical outcomes for a terrible bill. The Save America Act is not saving America. It's not saving voting. It's not even saving Republicans. It's a terrible idea, and I hope it does not pass.
Van Jones on Substack.